We are delighted to have as our commencement speaker today, Stephen Dunn, Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Creative Writing at the Richard Stockton College of New Jersey. Professor Dunn is the author of many poetry collections and the recipient of numerous awards for his poetry, most notably the Pulitzer Prize in 2001 for his book, Different Hours. I am pleased to present Professor Stephen Dunn.
Good morning. I'm going to begin my speech by recognizing President Stockton, who can't be here, but who I want to honor by mentioning him as I was going to. President Stockton, Provost Kesselman, deans, board members, distinguished faculty, family, especially today, mothers, and the graduating class of 2014. I'm here this morning to speak about you and your future, and I will try to do that, but inexactly, at least for a while, by speaking about myself. I was the first in my family to go to college, and had I not gotten a basketball scholarship, that might not have happened. I was one of those serious-minded students, you might recognize the type, who didn't know how to be a good student. The truth is that my first experience with good talk, really good talk, which I think is a byproduct of good learning, was an overhearing Coach Van Bredikoff at Hofstra speak about basketball and the tendencies of teams and their players. Talk that was highly observant and nuanced. It was information I could immediately put to use. His was a practical intelligence, which I would contrast with most of what I was getting from my classes, which was often beyond me, something to reach for, information that would accrue and become valuable over time. It took me quite a while before I could bring Van Bredikoff's careful discriminations to my history and English classes, not to mention to my life itself. In other words, it took quite a while for my education to feel practical. But I must add that I think a good liberal education shouldn't strive to be practical. At its best, it should challenge our conventional thoughts, shake up what we hold dear. That is, impel us to consider by reconsidering. How intellectually sweet to find yourself returning to an idea you brought with you, say, from home or high school, tested now, not blindly accepted, and finding that it holds up. Often, though, if we have served you well, it won't hold up under examination. And you'll find yourself in the sweeter intellectual condition where certainties yield to I don't know, and the resulting confusion that leads to new considerations. How did I become a poet? I truly don't know, but I do have several stories, some of them truer than others, that approximate such a slippery phenomenon. One story, the serious one, has to do with my silence, my inability to speak in public. And so writing became a way of finding out and making sense of what I thought. That one is true enough, but equally plausible is I was good at only two things, basketball and writing. And when my jump shots started to fail, I was left with writing. Another less serious one is that I discovered writing little love poems to girls to get them to like me occasionally worked. I learned that poetry could be efficacious. The great American poet Emily Dickinson said, "You have to get at the truth slant." Her presumption is that it's very hard to say what you wish to say straight on. To say something true, in other words, is an achievement, a triumph, really, of precision over fuzzy thinking and of knowing who we are over our tendencies towards self-deception. And by slant, I think she also means where and when to enter the story you're telling. And I think she'd agree that the middle isn't a bad place to begin. It permits you to expand in various directions, which is my excuse for taking this talk in various directions. But enough about me, the joke goes. What do you think about me? You're probably thinking, get on with it, Dunn. Tell us something our parents can feel good about that can justify their investment in us. Well, I'll try, but I'll tell it slant. I'm aware that some of you are thinking of particular careers But I imagine a good many of you are in the limbo world of what next. And having been in that world and also having taught at Stockton over 35 years, I have no doubt that most of you are prepared for what next, which means you are ready for the inevitable crooked path that awaits you. Our area of general studies has anticipated this, has allowed, nay, insisted that you take courses outside of your comfort zone. Given the uncertainties that lie ahead, how good that the person graduating with a business degree might have courses in the humanities and the sciences, or the person graduating with a degree in art has had courses, say, in psychology and geology. A liberal education may not make you a liberal, but it will make you more empathetic to otherness. And it might not make you a conservative either, but will teach you what is valuable to conserve. To become a judicious conservator of values should be one of the goals of a liberal education. Stockton has been one place where these truths become self-evident. You are ready, I'd wager, to perceive truths that will come at you slant, and no doubt you have some of the tools that will help you manage the challenging confusions that lead to clarities. Here's my poet's statement of full disclosure. I confess that I'm more interested in your souls than your successes in the big demanding world of money and commerce, though the state of your souls may be very much related to such success. I'm not thinking about soul in a religious way, but if you will allow that distinction, more so in a spiritual way. Our souls, uncultivated, always are in jeopardy. Mine tends to sleep most of the day and often waits too long for outside influences to startle it into wakefulness. Most graduation speeches address the idea of character, of developing standards of behavior and presentation of self that will pay off socially as well as financially. That's all to the good. But the soul is character's grid, its underpinning. It's useful to keep in mind the great story of Faust, which involves selling your soul in order to get ahead. To be a person of high character is no small thing. But what's at stake in the Faustian bargain is our souls. There's no doubt that during your lifetime you will be so tested. And speaking again for myself, one's failures can be as instructive as one's ability to hold the moral line. I won't go into particulars, but I will say it's a struggle to live a coherent life, a life that measures up to scrutiny. My favorite writer-philosopher, Albert Camus, said, "I never said I was a good man, I only tried to be one." Life will have its way of confounding your best intentions. A good education like the one that's available at Stockton helps prepare you for your stumblings as well as for your recoveries. When my students embark on revising their poems, I cite to them this Japanese proverb, "Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. And I recommend it to all of you this morning who likely will be in the business of revising your lives during your lifetime. Though the issue in the Faustian bargain is what precious aspect of yourself will you give up in order to get ahead, we should know that there are many little ways that the soul can be injured before a big compromise takes place. Though technology has many benefits, I worry, for example, when I speak on my phone merely for the sake of speaking, or when any of us might confuse texting, say, with intimacy or true connection. Some of us with Facebook accounts act as if privacy is an old-fashioned virtue, and beyond that, make no distinction between friend and acquaintance. These are among the hazards that get in the way of soul building. It's difficult to define the soul, but relatively easy to identify those who don't have one. We hear it in their voices, the sound of tin, when they're speaking about gold. The paradox of good literature is that it says apparently what cannot be said. Such saying takes a lifetime of vigilance and, in certain countries, courage. Chekhov adds, "Art exists to prepare the soul for tenderness." The same Chekhov who cautioned writers to see the world with a cold eye. On a practical level, to say what cannot be said, or what others are afraid to say, will make you valuable to your future employer. Or if you have a bad or insecure employer, to say what needs to be said might get you fired. But if that happens, trust me, you'll be admired by a few people who wish they behaved as you did. These are the colleagues that end up being your lifelong friends. What's next for you should involve taking a chance on your ability to navigate the crooked road. That is, to find out what you want as you go and to confront and hurdle the inevitable obstacles along the way. Today, you begin your own legacy, which I trust will add to Stockton's. Good luck to you all. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8.
Thank you very much, Professor Dunn. Mr. Pappas, it is my distinct pleasure to recommend to you for the conferral of the Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Creative Writing, Stephen Dunn.
Thank you, Professor Dunn, for your words of wisdom. Dr. Kesselman, I accept your nomination of Distinguished Professor Emeritus Dunn for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters with this salutation. Upon the recommendation of the faculty, the Board of Trustees hereby confers upon Distinguished Professor Emeritus Stephen Dunn the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters with all the rights, honors, and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Congratulations, Dr. Dunn.
You have to turn from photo off.
Thank you. I've always wanted one of these.